it's a really fun and adventurous way to answer research questions. Hi, I'm Gina Moseley and I'm a Professor of Paleoclimatology at the University of Innsbruck. I am focused on answering questions about climate change. So climate change that happened in the past, in geological time. And so to do that, I take stalagmites from caves. So these are the pretty candlestick formations that you find in caves. And they record information about the climate and the environment over the last hundreds of thousands of years. At the moment, the Earth's temperature is warming up, and it's warming up very rapidly. And in order for us to understand what might happen in the future and whether these present changes are even unusual in any respect, we need to look into the past for that information. So the past can provide us with a baseline of what's natural, what's normal, what's possible even. And it can also provide us with analogues for what we might expect in the future. So we can look at times when the climate changed very rapidly in the past and then use that to understand the physics and the mechanisms and the chemistry and the environmental change, and that can allow us to make better predictions for the future. And we can also look at times in the past when it was warmer than today, and that again gives us an idea of what we could expect in the future. So as an example, if we take the last warm period, which was about 125,000 years ago, roughly. At that time, the Greenland ice sheet was much smaller, sea level was 6 meters higher than today. And so we can look at that time in the past, see how much warmer it was, and look at the environmental conditions. And that then gives us a projection for what we could expect in the future if we don't change our habits and behaviours. My next big expedition is in 2023 to the very north of Greenland. This one's supported by a Rolex Award for Enterprise, which is really nice. And these are the most northern known caves in the world. And one of them was photographed in the Cold War in 1958, and it's still never been explored. And it's this huge entrance, and cavers and Arctic explorers have thought about it for decades and never got there. So finally we're going there, and in the meantime I've done a lot more research and actually found out that there's a lot of photos of lots of caves in the north of Greenland, so we've got a lot of work to do. Already next summer we are sending equipment on a ship as far north as possible. Then the following winter it will be flown as far north as possible, and then the following summer then we can transport it to where we need it to be. So it's really a multi-year project just to get the things in place that we need. Even just going to the Bauhaus, you know, to work out how to build a polar bear defense fence, right, you know, which you don't just buy off the internet, you know, you have to think about that and test it out and things. If you're in a cave for the very first time, it's not being worn with lots of people trampling through it, so there might be loose rocks in the ceiling, you might be on a false floor that just gives way. You just have to be aware of your surroundings, basically. And then once we have the samples, we're back in the lab and we're doing the chemical work, and for that, some of it's very dirty, where we're using huge, great big saws and like getting covered in water and things, you know, and dust, and it's kind of fun and exciting. And then we go from that into the clean lab, where everything is so pristine and so well kept and so clean, and we're in full gowns with, you know, the white suits, hats, hands covered up, no makeup, no jewellery at work, you know, because we can't contaminate our samples. And so every day is really varied.